how to plan the ultimate Sesame Street party. Sesame Street, the ultimate in color and character for a theme party. In today's video, I'm going to give you an enormous list of tried and tested ideas to incorporate into your own Sesame Street party to make it a huge hit. Hey guys, thanks for clicking on this video. If you're new to my channel, it's nice to meet you. I'm Katie, and this is Katie Fehlinger DIY. My channel is dedicated to helping you make your home your happiest place. Of course, that extends to family celebrations, and I do that through tutorials, techniques, and ideas like you'll see in this video. So if that sounds good to you, consider subscribing, and you can also ring the bell to get notified when new videos go up every Thursday. So I threw a pretty epic second birthday party for my twin daughters, if I say so myself. And today I'm going to show you all the adorable decor, games, and fun food that we served up for our guests. Because there's so much to cover, I'm going to come at you in sort of a rapid fire style here, but please let me know in the comments if you see anything along the way that you'd want me to explain in more detail. Let me know. But just for the sake of time, I am going to move pretty quickly here. And also stay tuned to the end because I'm going to share some bonus tips of things that really helped me when I was planning my Sesame Street bash. Okay, let's talk decor. What I loved so much about the decor choices I made was that they looked amazing, but they were super easy to pull off. We're talking the kind of decorations that required some Scotch tape, some construction paper, and a pair of scissors. So it was totally simplistic, but it came out looking so cool. I mean, really all that I was really trying to go for was as much color and creativity as I could throw into this. So when the guests arrived, the first thing people saw was a sign that said, "Sunny days this way," with Muppet-shaped footprints that led up the driveway in the shape of Cookie Monster, Elmo, Abby, and Big Bird. This was just cut up construction paper, which I taped down to the asphalt. At the end of the driveway, just as people walked in, they came across this sign, which was one of the most vibrant decorations that I made. Obviously a total play on the end credits of the Sesame Street show, and I used chalk markers and stencils to draw this on a chalkboard easel that I purchased at IKEA with the classic Sesame Street tagline and customized to the girls' initials and their age. And then once the guests made their way into the party area, they saw this. A homemade Sesame Street lamppost that I built completely from scratch with the most basic of materials. So check this out. The base is an overturned plastic flower pot with shipping tubes for the post, all spray painted green, and then topped off with a large styrofoam ball. Now I held the shipping tubes together with a rolled up piece of sturdy cardboard that I just stuffed inside the tube. And then we hammered a long pole into the ground and laced the pot and the tubes over that, topping it all off with the styrofoam ball, which was just skewered into the pole. Now the street sign part of this is just a piece of cardboard with yellow tape for a border, sticker letters, and zip ties and foil tape to attach it all. I was so proud of how this came out. Meanwhile, the garage was turned into Hooper's store for the day. Now, all I did to recreate this part of the Sesame Street set was line alternating pieces of red and yellow cardstock down the length of my garage, tape them together, and then spell out Hooper's store with sticker letters. Incredibly easy, but it really does look so cool. And since we're on the topic of decor, I'll also mention the party favors. I put together little baggies of crayons and goldfish with the Elmo's World theme song in mind. Elmo loves his goldfish, his crayon too. Adorable. My singing, not so much. And hey, comment below if you've come across any other cool Sesame Street party decor ideas. What I love so much about this theme is that it's basically limitless. There's so many different options and ways that you could go with it. So let everybody know your ideas. I'm sure we'd all love the extra inspiration. Okay, game time. Each game had its own colorful wood sign to identify it. Now, I'll show you each of these games separately in a minute, but I have a bunch of these wooden signs. They're really just sturdy dowel rods with various size wood planks attached. And then I took bright cardstock and labeled each sign and free-handed bubble letters on them for each game. And I also printed out pictures of the characters associated with each. Now, we had kids aged anywhere from infant to about 8 years old, but there were actually more adults at this party than kids. So I designed the games with that in mind, and I really wanted to make them as interactive as possible so that both kids and adults would enjoy playing them together. So in total, I had 8 games. My personal favorite was Oscar the Grouch's Garbage Toss. This was so easy to set up. Guys, I bought a legit silver garbage can, which is now being used for yard waste. Waste not, want not. And then I taped a cutout of Oscar on top and crumpled up a bunch of magazine pages for guests to toss into the can. And my girls were actually able to help me crumple up the, quote, garbage, which was really nice for them and for me because they were still so little and I was really glad that they could be involved in some way. Another game was dedicated to Super Grover 2.0, and he had his own obstacle course. So there were 7 obstacles. I did a ladder run, which was just a blanket ladder that I laid out in the backyard. You may actually recognize that blanket ladder from one of my recent videos that I did about nursery organization. And if you haven't seen it yet and you're interested, I'll link it up here in the cards and then also down in the description. But the weather was nice that day. I didn't care. We just laid it out back and the kids had to hop over the spaces. Obstacle 1, done. We also had a wire crawl, which was just a bunch of wooden stakes poked into the ground with colorful twine strung haphazardly, kind of like a maze back and forth between them. We also did a balance beam, which was just a long plank tossed into the grass. A tunnel. Santa had actually left this under the tree the Christmas prior, so that we already had. And same thing, just placed it in the middle of the yard. And we also did hurdles, which I made out of pool noodles. So using more of those wooden stakes or dowel rods, we hammered them into the ground and poked the pool noodles right onto the stakes and then just adjusted them to the appropriate height. And a great feature of using soft pool noodles was that even the littlest kids, like my girls, could climb over them safely. Second to last obstacle was a set of stepping stones. So I just took a bunch of pavers and large stones that we had sitting around the property or in the garage and made them in a zigzag pattern, and the kids had to hop over them. And then the final obstacle was to go through the fort that we have out back, down the slide, and through a finish line of red and white striped ribbon. Sounds intricate, was super simple to set up. Okay. Ernie also had his own game, and as I'm sure you're well aware, Ernie is all about bath time. He loves his rubber ducky. So I already had this little ducky match game from the previous year's birthday party, which was actually a county fair theme. So I just repurposed the same game for this year's party and called it Ernie's Rubber Ducky Match to fit the theme. And the kids loved it. There was at least one child at that game all afternoon. And then there was Big Bird's seed search. So I filled up the girls' play water table with bird seed minus the water, and hidden within were a bunch of prizes for the kids to find. But what made this extra cool, especially for the littlest kids, and I know this from having had a child in therapy for this kind of stuff, was the sensory aspect of it. They were able to shove their hands into the seeds, feel the textures, and dig around. And that kind of sensory activity is really important for little kids to develop. Okay. Zoe also had a special activity at the party. So we had this small raised deck in the yard, and I turned that into Zoe's dance floor. And I put out a basket of fun dress-up props for the kids. So some silly hats, bright colored parasols. So funny story, those parasols were actually part of my wedding photos. My husband and I got married at a destination wedding in Jamaica, and I wasn't going to leave the parasols at the resort. At the same time, I had no immediate use for them whatsoever. Until now. So they live again. My daughter Parker absolutely loved the parasols, as you can tell from this adorable photo. And then there was Cookie Monster. This one was really fun to put together, but guys, I used nearly nothing but Scotch tape and cardstock. Now, the object of the game was to toss a cookie into Cookie's mouth. So using one can from our Can Jam game, I taped Cookie Monster blue cardstock all around the outside, taped half a Cookie Monster head to the top, and then turned a Frisbee into a chocolate chip cookie for the kids to toss into his mouth. The Count had a fun contest, the Count with the Count guessing game, where the kids and even some of the adults joined in, had to guess how many blocks were in the jar. And the winner got to take home a plush Count Von Count stuffy. So some cute details here. I set up a photo frame with the directions for the contest, used a Bath & Body Works candle holder to hold the markers for people to write their guesses, and then I wrapped a shoebox in colorful cardstock and cut a hole in it and used that as the guess box. And of course, it wouldn't be a Sesame Street theme party without Elmo, and he had his wobbly world, which was simply a bounce house. You just can't go wrong with a bounce house. It's a basic truth of life. Fun stuff so far, right? Let me know in the comments if you're finding this helpful. Just write the word inspired so that I know you're feeling this. Okay, on to the food. Now, there are two main parts to this. The way I presented the food, and then all the cute names that went with everything. By a long shot, the best presentation award went to these character trays, where I arranged the appetizers, the veggies, cheese, crackers, and fruits, and dips, into the faces of Oscar, Elmo, and Big Bird. Now, this was labor intensive, but it was still really fun for me to put together. If we can, I'd like to just linger on these pictures a little bit longer. I was so proud of how these came out. As for the rest of the menu, we went with typical picnic style food, so burgers, dogs, etc. And I made little menu cards to accompany it all. So guests could have an Oscar's Scram burger, or an Ernie's rubber doggy, a helping of Abby's fairy fruit salad, some Rotelli salad, yeah, Rosita's tortilla chips, sample one of Abby's magic wands, which were just pretzels I dipped in chocolate and colorful sprinkles. C is for cookies, pretty self-explanatory. And all the drinks from juice for the kids to gin for the adults was labeled Bert's Beverages. So clearly a lot of detail went into this, but I had so much fun putting it together. Pinterest may have vomited on my lawn that day, but it was all of those extra touches that I think made the day that much more special. And from what I've seen in my experience, it's really those extra details that can really wow people. So for me, the goal wasn't so much about everything being perfect, rather the fact that it is homemade and showed some creativity. It sure doesn't have to be fancy, but if you take the extra time and care to up your presentation game, it can come out so cool looking, and that's the stuff that people really notice. Okay, bonus tip time. During my planning of all of this, I really did my research. If you're gonna do a theme, my motto is, you gotta go all in. You wanna do it right. And would you believe that there is such a thing as Muppet Wiki? So I learned a ton about the Sesame Street characters that I'd never have known otherwise, and it was super thorough too. And that really helped me tailor the games to the different characters along the way. I'll put a link to that website in the description so you can see what I'm talking about. So for example, Muppet Wiki told me that Zoe loves to dance. So that's how I was able to curate Zoe's dance floor for the party. It also explained Grover's alter ego, Super Grover 2.0, and that's how I came up with the idea for a superhero obstacle course. And then I just paid closer attention anytime the show happened to be on with the girls watching. So I was always taking away these little tidbits about the character traits of the different Muppets. And that's how I found out that Elmo had his own Elmo's World segment, which is how I came up with the idea to turn the bounce house into Elmo's Wobbly World. So the bottom line here is, do your research. So now you have more than 20 tried and tested ideas of what you could do for your own Sesame Street party. But now you gotta plan the thing. So I've put together a kids party planning checklist, which will help you stay organized. And trust me, if you get as detailed as I did with this Sesame Street party, you're going to need a plan and a way to stay on top of everything. So you can grab that, it's in a link down in the description. Meanwhile, if the sight of a good Pinterest feed makes you salivate, then you need to join the more than 1,000 people that are already part of my creator community. It's where DIY junkies unite, and it's also where I share content exclusive to that group. Again, there's a link in the description if you want to sign up for that. Good stuff. So guys, if you found this helpful, let me know in the comments, and also let me know if there are any specific parts of this video that you would want to see broken down in more detail. I am very interested in knowing what it is you want to see from my channel. Do me a favor as well, hit that like button, share this with your fellow creator friends and DIY junkies, and subscribe so that you don't miss any new content. I post every single Thursday, but you can also ring the bell to get notified so you don't miss those videos when they go live. And in between videos, stay in touch with me. I'm on all the social platforms. I've listed those all below in the description as well. I always love hearing from you. Keep creating your happy place, guys, and I'll see you next Thursday. I was not recording. Let's try that again. I'm losing light. The light got really weird during that one. Help me, Obi-Wan Concealer. Stop texting me. No! Ooh, it's so hot in here. Pictures for social. Don't like this lighting. And then turned. What do you think, YouTube? Am I there yet? And this channel is all the way here. Consider subscribing for new content every Thursday. Why did I look off camera? I have no idea. There's a spider on my camera. Aha! Get out of here. Ha! Pool noodles. Pool noodles. I swear I'm only drinking water. Now, at the moment.